Right, so just got that off, that light out of the corner. So I might just, I don't know whether, might look at that later. I don't know whether that's easy to come off or not. I'm not too worried about it at this point in time. Might just put a bit of tape on there in case I rub against it or something. But yeah, we'll tear into that, what's left on this side, and for the majority of it, if you know what I mean. I might even see if I can maybe get the handle off. You know, there's not really a lot else. You know, the only thing we're going to probably have to pretty mask out when we go to paint it is like the windscreen and a couple other bits and pieces. You know, it's we're not going to dive into it too deep, if you know what I mean. Right, so I started sanding the top of this. It's actually coming off pretty easy. I haven't actually sanded a lot through the blue layers. That was kind of done. You know, obviously I've sanded through some of it, but to get through the grey primer, because I just want to get it all off, which has been put on here. Whether I go crazy around the windscreen, you know, on this corner, I'll probably just, you know, give it a good scuff up by hand. It doesn't look like it's gone too far anyway. Obviously, we have to sand around the edges of the doors and whatever. At some point, I've got to get bolts to go back in the front of those doors, or this door anyway. But I'll carry on sanding this off, see how that cleans up, and then obviously we'll just walk into this door. At some point, I need to get these handles off. I'm gonna have to pop the door panel off at least to get in there, and get the handle out of the road so at least we can sand that. I don't know, I might even see if I can get these stupid mirror bits off and see what he wants to do there. I don't know, because like I know they had like a big sort of square mirror on there, but they've both been broken off or something at some point, if you know what I mean. So they need to be repaired anyway, so I'll just find out whether he wants the holes filled or whether he's going to put something else on there. I don't know. You could put a lot of different mirrors on there. So yeah, and we'll get this in, but I think this piece here I might have to strip with a strip disc and really tear it off this panel just to find out what's going on, because it's flaking off in too many places and splitting and whatever. So I think we might just have to, because it just peels off. I don't know why. You know what I mean? It's been on here quite a while. Because he said, like, when he got this, there was a whole mess load of parts and stuff in here, and some primer and some paint and whatever that he doesn't want to use because it was so old. Well, it was probably not, but he said the date was, you know, close to 20 years old. For the primer and the paint, so yeah, you probably wouldn't get away with it, and if it's doing this anyway, like, who knows what's on here. So I just want to get this off completely, especially on this panel, and again we'll just see what happens with this back door. It mightn't be like that, it might be more like the front guard, if you know what I mean. So somebody started priming it up, but obviously hadn't taken the windows out and all that sort of shit. But and I might take a few more brackets and bits and pieces off if I can get them off, like these things. I need to get a couple of those bits off. I sanded down a bit lower around the bottom here, around the doors, and I come around this corner a bit. But I wouldn't, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't want to get some of these brackets off so I can get in here and just do a bit better clean up job. And obviously we need to clean this shit up, but that's all right. I'm not worried about that at the moment. I'm just trying to get this sides down, scuffed down, sort of, wouldn't say ready for primer yet, but kind of, if you know what I mean. So when we're getting ready to do primer and obviously fix a few dents and whatever, we're kind of ready to go. But we've got a couple bits and pieces to fix here. I might have to come on around on the inside and just hit it with the Scotch-Brite disc and just clean that up, so I can just do a bit of hammer and dolly work. But we're going to have to weld this in anyway, so whatever. But it would be nice just to get this fixed before we put a big panel in here. I'll cut out a bit of that plastic core flute panel shit and we'll sit them behind there somehow, and I'll run around it. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to hold it up yet, might have to get a hand and just draw around it with a marker pen and then trim around it close, and then we'll cut some bits of steel that are close and we'll just start trimming them to fit at some point shortly. But like I said, need gas. But yeah, I'm just trying to get this cleaned up the best I can this morning, and then we'll go from there. Right, so we've got a patch all welded in, ground up, cleaned up. I've got a bit of a lip here. It doesn't really matter. It pulled in a bit low. I've hammered and dollied it around a little bit. We might go over it again. But I'm pretty much at the point now where I'm just going to give this a quick blow off and mix up some glass filler. Well, I ended up going direct to metal. I couldn't find a fucking rattle can of etch for some fucking reason. I need to have a huge cleanup. I had a quick hunt around, but it shouldn't have been that hard to spot. I thought I had 2 cans of it, but maybe I only had 1. But yeah, I had a quick poke around. I just couldn't see it sitting anywhere on a bench or in the trolley or anything. So it's like, screw it, we'll just do it direct to metal. It's meant to be direct to metal anyway, so I don't know. I'm one of those people that's just, I don't mind doing it, but I prefer to put something underneath and just give it a quick scuff up. So it's got to rough the texture up, rough the surface, and then wear. But I have DA'd this with 60 to rough the surface of the steel up too, even though we've like Scotch-Brighted it. Scotch-Brite leaves it quite shiny. You really need to DA it first before you put body filler or whatever on. Just so it gets that extra little bit of bite in. So that's done. So I'll go find a bit of steel now, since I was running around trying to find a can. I'll poke that up underneath and we'll grab a marker and we'll draw around those few holes over here that we need to sort. Might even drag the ladder around from the other side. It's just borderline closer to the other side. It's not really, but it's just saved me leaving any of this too. We've got these 4 holes to fill. So we'll see if we can get a bit of steel underneath there, and we'll draw some holes and we'll draw around them, and we'll cut out something close to where those size are, and we'll just see if we can get them to fit in. And I've got a couple of magnets that we might better. You see a long orange magnet sitting at the top of the toolbox over there. Big one, like one of those little stick ones. Big thing, sorry, swaying around. That's fairly well zoomed in. Yeah, we'll use that to hold and just tack those in and whatever we can. A little bit of hammer dolling and weld them in. They won't take much to weld in. Right, got a couple of pieces of random scrap just jammed up there, so hopefully I can draw through on them and then cut all those bits out and then start welding them in. This is where a steel foot stomp guillotine comes in quite handy, because you can get, obviously not close, but we can dial that in with a little frickin' Rolex disc. So we'll do the same with these as well. Well, that's a bit of a pain and spread out like that, but it's the easiest way to mark them out. Alright, quickly update. So I've got those all cleaned up, ground off, whatever. Might do a little bit more hammer and dolling, whatever. I've got the hole fixed here, and there was actually 3 pot rivets in the roof as well, which was holding on to that brace. So I drilled them out and welded them in. I'll need to double check on the other side, make sure that they did weld in cleanly, but worst comes to worst, I can always put a slightly bigger drill bit from the back, from underneath, and weld them in and clean it up and dolly it up, or clean it up from the inside. Make sure it gets back onto the welds I put on the outside. I've still got to do that in here, and that brace that goes across here anyway, I've still got to reattach that properly. But yeah, just a matter of getting the rest of the roof cleaned up. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab that bit of core flute, do a quick measure, trim it to fit so I can stick it in here somehow, trace around it, and then we'll see if I can cut a couple panels to at least start getting them in the sides. Right, so that's kind of the idea. So let's bang a couple of Tech screws in it. We've got a frickin' wire all the way around here, so what's an extra couple of holes just to help hold something in place without an extra set of hands. So we'll just quickly run around here. Obviously we're going to cut down into this a little bit lower. We'll just probably trim along here. When we do the full fitment, we'll cut it down below this line. We'll just weld along that edge where it sort of kicks in. We'll just weld along there. And whatever, you know, we'll get this probably is pretty clean up here. It's just this bottom piece that really needs just nicked away a little bit, and we'll be able to sort that. So yeah, we'll just quickly draw around that, and we'll trim this out roughly the size, and we'll just make it a little bit bigger, and then we'll just start. Yeah, we'll work it out whether we tack it in from the inside, and we'll make the panel a little bit bigger, and again just Tech screw it, probably in the corners or something like that. Maybe even just a Tech screw in here and catch at the edge of this just to pull it up tight. And then we'll better just come along with the cutting disc and just cut it and just pull it around and weld it in, if you know what I mean. We'll try that, or get it really trimmed really close or something like that, and hold it with some magnets or whatever. You know, we'll work out a final plan when we get closer, but we'll get these, get this piece trimmed. We'll check it the other side, make sure it fits that side. See whether the holes are identical. Should be, but you never know. And then we'll cut a couple pieces. Right, so we've got the first piece sitting in place. Obviously we haven't trimmed anything off it. Just got it out in there with a couple of Tech screws, and I've drawn around the main edge of it. So what I'm going to do is going to come back in and probably lift it off, and we'll just trim sort of the excess away, and we'll just leave these sort of corner bits on. I can just come around here and just gently cut that radius with a cutting disc. You know, it doesn't matter if I, you know, cut into this blue bit a little bit, if you know what I mean. It doesn't matter. Shit. We can slowly butt it up, get it whatever. So I'll go around this edge and clean this up. Righty. So I'm just working my way around getting this tacked in, getting it all leveled up, reasonably close. So I think what I'm going to do is, once I've sort of got it tacked in, we'll start. I completely forgot about it. We're going to cut another hole here. So I think what I'll do is we'll start doing some measuring on the inside of that. Once we sort of get around here, get it tacked in every inch or so, we might get one of those frames, have a measure up, see where it's going to sit to be central-ish, whether we go slightly lower or higher, we'll see. And we'll trace around the outside of it, and I think what we'll do is we'll cut that away, and then it'll be a bit easier to, I can hammer and dolly this a bit easier than if we get another frickin' hole back in here. I was thinking, you know, I was plating up, and then I was thinking, oh shit, you know, we're actually going to cut out a frickin' hole in here. It'd be damn sight easy, we can just get it all tacked in. We'll cut that hole out, clean the edge up, make sure that's close to fitting, and then we can hammer and dolly it and weld it all up, and then we can trim the hole to fit properly. Right, morning. So I just had a quick straighten up around the place through the studio and the little marina outside. And just had a quick sweep. I shifted the van backwards and forwards just a little bit, just trying to clean up around. Just, I wouldn't say organise some tools, but just get some tools a bit more unruly. sweep the floors, just get rid of some other crap of the road. Like I put a that table, folded that table up. I thought there was a bit of ply on that old sawhorse that I had sort of half as a table, just trying to get rid of some clutter off the floor. And we'll dig into that, finish stitching that side window, and so I'll get myself organised around there, and we might even turn the camera on. It's actually freaking warm today. Must be a warm northerly coming in, and that's like spring temperatures, it's not really end of winter temperatures, but yeah, it's actually quite warm. I just hope it doesn't get too freaking hot, because I'm not sort of dressed for spring temperatures, if you know what I mean. But I'm not. It's not that bad, but you know what I mean. Just yeah, sometimes you're a bit overdressed and you don't realise it's going to get quite so warm. This warm wind, but it's nothing we can't sort. So I'll get the van back in rough. Well, just organise myself a little bit better, and yeah, we'll get back into it. I might have a quick drink because I'm dry from sweeping and having a clean up. Yeah, and then we'll get ourselves organised and we'll carry on with this side. I'll push the van back and just get this pallet table thing out of the road a little bit. We'll buzz that in, and then we'll start, rather cut the other one out and get that fitted, start buzzing that in, and then we'll trim the holes out, and then we'll fully weld, I think, with how I'll do it. Right, so that's where that frame's going to sit for this window. So we're not actually fucking welding a lot in, but like up to here. But let's turn this light off. But you kind of need it. You kind of need it as a solid piece so you can at least get it put in properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rough cut this out inside here, and then we can trim it back later. It's just going to make it life easier to get all these pieces lined up better. I can come along and hammer and dolly it and whatever, and I can just put my hand in the fucking window hole instead of trying to work around that. And as long as I cut it close, we can use this for other shit panels and bits and pieces and repairs at some point on something, making something else up. There's plenty of material in the middle there, so we're only really adding, in some places like an inch or so of metal, and then out here we're actually not actually adding anything. We're going to take away some metal, and a little bit here. It just kind of lines up with this edge in here, and then it's going to be basically just slightly overlapping here. There's not much I can do about it, if you know what I mean. It's just a little bit, but I think that'll be fine. This is like the piece that goes in the inside, but the hole is basically the same. We'll just better have to file fit it or whatever, sand it, whatever, until the actual window fits in. But this is the right way. I'll just grab it and double check that. Make sure I've got it running the right way before I cut it open. And there's going to have to be screws go right through from inside to outside anyway, so it doesn't matter if there's a couple extra holes in here. You can always weld them up or whatever if I have to, but pretty sure these will just go right the way through because the window will fit right through. So I think they go through this frame and then back into the body of the window on the outside. So yeah, we'll hold it up there, have a quick look, and then we'll quickly chop that excess out that I don't need, and then we can take this back off, and that'll make it a lot easier to weld this up. Just means I can hammer and dolly and get things flat and whatever, and make life just getting things easier, because I can't get in there to clamp or hold it or anything, if you know what I mean. It's awkward. Yeah, I think that'll be a bit easier to work on. I haven't cut it right out to the corners and whatever. We just got it close in the meantime. I'll just quickly round it with the ear and the Rolex disc. I'll have to drag the ear back over here. Just give that edge a quick clean up so it's not sharp, and then I can proceed to weld it in. So yeah, this will be on here, something like that. Just a bit awkward trying to hold the glass there, but you get the idea. And he wants the high bit of the glass at the front, obviously, so it doesn't whistle. Otherwise, if the wind's bouncing against here all the time, if the glass was around the other way, it would tend to whistle more, if you're driving down the road, whereas this might be less likely to, as was his thinking, but I'll just do what he wants. But yeah, I think we're good to cut that out. Righty, let's flip that light on. Is that still plugged in? Yeah, it is. So I've welded pretty much across the bottom. Like, there's a few bits and pieces that are going to catch, and like a couple of screw holes going to fill. Screw hole there going to fill. Screw hole there going to fill, but that pretty much gets cut through there. So obviously you're not going to weld this piece. I just get obviously 2 or 3 tacks in it to hold together. I'm just starting to tack up this piece, and we'll do this piece along here, and then I might shuffle this around a little bit and get myself up a little bit higher, so I'm just not reaching up so high. I might just set myself up and so I can just sit on the edge of this and weld along the top there. Yeah, and then that'll be done. Obviously we'll clean up the inside and whatever, and we'll trim it out properly and whatever, but I won't worry about trimming it out until we get a bit further on. Alright, she's all ready to go. I just double check tyre pressures, just give it a quick wipe out inside, just give it a quick blow down and a quick wipe down on the outside. I threw in another 10 litres of fuel in it, or roughly 10 litres of fuel in it, because there had hardly anything in it. The gas that was in it had been in it for a fair while, so I actually splashed some of the old fuel back in it just to keep me going in the meantime, but I just threw another 10 litres in it. It hasn't got a very big tank, it probably only holds 40 anyway, so they'll probably just run it up to the fuel station up the road and put a bit of fuel in it, or whatever they're going to do, however they're going to take it home. Not really sure, but it's good to go now. So that's awesome. You just see a wee rust stain here, just dribble stain. Might just grab my cloth and a wee bit of polish and just give it that a wee polish, just so that disappears. But yeah, it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like, I've tried to make it, I haven't fixed everything because there's so many little dents and nicks and scratches. You didn't end up stripping it right back to fix everything, but we've got it tidy so it looks like it hasn't been repaired too much, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of not obvious that it's been repaired, you know, like the bootlet's been repainted, and then we flicked the bottom of that guard, basically the top of it. I scuffed the bonnet and fixed a couple of dents in it, and then just gave it a quick blow over in places to the front of that cowl, a little bit in front of that mirror on the top of that door, sort of blended into that door, and then yeah, we did a repair in here, so we blended that. I can't remember if we actually blended up round here or not, or whether we just painted the. But no, I don't think we did blend it because it's still chips and marks there, but it's really close match. Flicked a bit of paint across the bottom there where we've done some rust. Same in here, and then sort of blended the doors in and whatever, and obviously the top of this guard too, where we've done some repairs and on the bottom of there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, that little bit in front of that windscreen. That was the main stuff. New windscreen rubbers, front and back. Reupholstered the seats. Put new windscreen washers in it, new tyres on it. Changed the oils and filters. Checked the front brakes over. Put new brake hoses in the back. New brake hose in the back. Oh, sorry, new brake hoses in the front. New brake hose in the back. Changed the linings, and yeah, new carpet. What else do we do? That was about it. Oh, I think I changed the starter motor and a few other bits and pieces around when we gave it a tune up. It was miles at a timing. I can't remember exactly because it would barely start when I went to start it way back. I know it was, I don't know, it was probably, it was hugely advanced. I know that. It was like, I'm guessing somewhere in the ballpark of like 50 degrees advanced. Yeah, and so initial, so yeah, I don't know, I don't know where it's back within rough spec anyway, once I figured out what the timing marks were. And yeah, that's about it, I think. Yeah, just change the tyres and whatever, and I'll put that third brake light in it, and just put all the parts back in. There's the other spare good tyre that was on it, and there's the other one that matches, in case they even have to have a destroy a tyre. At least they can put that on and maybe throw that on the back or whatever for spare, and there's all the other spare bits and the leftover oils and whatever. Yeah, so she's good to go. But yeah, But the boot lid was very dented and it was quite crazed, and there was paint starting to feel off it, so that looks a lot way better. But I tried not to repaint too much, if you know what I mean. I tried to leave a few of the scratches and nicks and bits and pieces to make it look like it was reasonably original. You can kind of go overboard and fix everything, if you know what I mean, and next thing it's, you know, you lose all the little just chips and marks and stuff. Like you could go around and touch all that up, but it's kind of, you either fix it or you don't, and then you end up, you may as well just flick the whole fucking thing, and then you end up with a lot more work. Well, you could have, but then you end up, you know, there's lots of little dints and dings in it. Like there's quite a few bruises and stuff like here, so you may as well panel beat that out and fix that. Next thing you're doing that and you're doing this and you know what I mean. Like I don't know, like there's possibly a slight bubble here and a bit of, you know, maybe it could be bubbling here a little bit. It feels like it's got a little bulge, but like how much do you fix, you know what I mean? But we chopped the bottom off that, but that's probably is starting to break away up there, but you know, it's not broken through at the moment. But like how much do you fix, you know? Like, oh, we fixed the separation in that bonnet too, like it's got the bracing in there, we re-glued that and fixed that. And it was cracked and broken in about here somewhere, I can't remember exactly. So we fixed that. Yeah, and then I'd had a couple of dents where it had been slammed closed a few times. So I kind of fixed that and just left, just scuffed the rest of it and just gave it another quick coat of paint to sort of blend it in with everything else. And everything else just got to clean and a polish and straighten up the hubcaps a bit and the trims a bit and just gave them a quick polish up. And yeah, well, what else can you do? Not much else. No, and try to fix the leaking problem, which should have now. But it had those little frickin' hoses that run between here and here, so they're all sealed up. So hopefully they don't give us any, don't give her any issues. It's a little bit of frickin' blue dust there. It probably needs a bit of a wash, but I'm not going to panic about it at the moment. But yeah, nice clean little tidy car now. The only thing that really needs fixed is, like I said the other day, the hazard switch for the hazard lights. When you turn that on, all the indicators stop, so there's something weird going on there, and the fan switch, the wiring's been played with and it's too short to get up to there. And then it just needs a warrant check, and then it can be registered once those couple of little things are sorted out. And it was having intermittent earth issues in the taillights. The connections have been, all the bulb holders have been changed at some point, but it probably just, I think when the guy's mucking around with that, he might be better off to have a good look around and just make sure the wiring is okay to the back. They do work, but every now and again I noticed I'd go for a drive and I thought I had it sorted, and then you get back and you double check the lights and they wouldn't be working. You give shit a wiggle and check the bulb holders, and they would do different shit, if you know what I mean. They're just the old school technology, just the way they were made. But yeah, get a bit of age in them. But I think with a little bit more motivation, by an auto electrician, just fix those other couple of things and just double check that wiring around the back, and it should be pretty good. Yeah, what would I change? Trans filter as well. So yeah, that's her done. It actually runs and drives really well. It just needs a decent drive just to really bed the brakes, and I've done it for a couple of laps around this block. Go up to here, there's another road, I don't know, a KSR up the road, and it just goes around the back here, goes sort of back. Oh no, you can sort of see that row of trees. It's really quite in the distance. Sort of follows up there and then comes back down on the other side of these houses down here. Comes back down over there, a couple of fences, and just come up to here and then drive back in the driveway. So I don't know, it's probably maybe 5-6 miles, I suppose, 10 k's. It mightn't be quite that far, but it's about that sort of distance. I'd have to work it out. So I've done a couple of laps around that just to make sure it drives good and it rides nice and points right. Yeah. So I think just once it's had a wee bit more work on these front brakes, you know, just bed everything back in properly and whatever, and bed the back brakes in properly, it should be pretty good. It may be that the pads are pretty good on it, but like they've got a bit of age in them, so They might come around with a bit of use, but maybe they might need rechanged. But everything seems to be working all right, so and they're not holding on or anything stupid. Right, while I'm down here waiting for them to come and pick up the little yellow marina, I just thought I'd look at some other stuff that I want to do for the Studebaker. So at one point the owner had got a little telltale light for, we're going to use it for when we turn the ignition switch, the eye on the ignition switch, so you can tell whether it's on or off, because you know, if you get used to driving it would be alright, but if somebody happened to hop in it and then didn't know whether it was which way around the eye was meant to be on the ignition switch, it's just a knob that you turn. So there's a spare hole in the dash, so we thought we'd put one of these little lights in there, and I thought I wired it up and I didn't even look in there. There's no freaking bulb in it. So I have to try and get a bulb at some point and see if we can hopefully get a little 6-volt, probably an LED. I'm going to try and put all LEDs in this thing eventually when we get it legal on the road. Just not sure how we're going to want it. It can be really fucking weird over here for some of that sort of shit, because you can get aftermarket LED headlight bulbs that fit in these old cars. But when you go get things like this made legal for the road, to be checked over and all that sort of shit, if they don't have the original equipment, they can get a bit fucking weird. And it's really annoying because, like, the original 6-volt headlights are just so dim, whereas an LED bulb, you know, somebody somewhere has made them so they work within the same specification, like throw the light the same way as what the original incandescent bulbs do. So yeah, but they're obviously just a bit brighter, you know, they're not so dull and yellow, they're quite a nice white light. So at least when you're driving down the road, you've got some half decent fucking lights, if you know what I mean. So yeah, we're probably going to do that and then put, we'll eventually find some little 6-volt motorbike blinkers, indicators, and we'll wire in somewhere. But yeah, I'll get a little 6-volt bulb for that, and we'll probably put 6-volt bulbs in the tail lights and probably in the little side lights that go up on top of the cow as well. We'll do them in LEDs as well. It's just way less draw on the amp, on the generator. So yeah, and you know, they'll be brighter and better anyway. And I actually wonder if you could make the those side, it'd actually be probably worth looking into, mate. So you can maybe make those top ones blink too. You could probably put, I don't know, whether you could maybe, yeah, I don't know, I have to look into that. Just see if maybe there's you could have it so there are some white LED, but then they would flash, like have a flash function so they flashed orange. Because you get some weird freaking LEDs like that. And that might be worth doing too. So yeah, like they just turn on white for park lights, you know, but yeah, when you're turning, you know, and you got these lights up high, at least if they're flashing, they're a bit easier to see than some of the other stuff down low. So it's a little bit more obvious from forward on, if you know what I mean. Somebody heading towards you. So that might be worth looking into too, but yeah. Because I'll show you where I was going to put this. But now it's no bulb in it, because I wanted to test the ignition, because the other day I was having problems getting it to start. Just didn't want to start on me. So, which I'll take that other side. I can point at it and zoom in. So, right, you can see there beside the dash cluster, and there's that oval. There's that oval bit there. I'll see that back a little bit. So oval piece that holds the bracket for the center, for the column there. So what we're going to do is poke this here and there. It just needs very slightly opened up. So what I might actually do is measure this, put some tape on there, and we'll just run a drill through there gently. So this will just sneak in there, and then this just pushes in from the back. It's always handy when the drill's flat. It's only a half-inch drive, apart from a quarter drill that I've got here. I don't really like using it for that sort of thing. It's a bit savage. It's not so much finesse, if you know what I mean. Whereas the old cordless drills tend to be a bit slower, but all my other ones are only 10mm or 3/8 drill bit. So yeah, that's that little light. So now we've just got to get a bulb for it and wire it into that switch, or in somewhere on the ignition. So when we turn that switch, it turns it on. Marina and a mini. Marina. Well, I suppose I better go buy a roll of welding wire. I actually thought I'd replaced that a wee while ago, but it was something else I couldn't remember. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to go get a roll. Yeah, that's all right. Shit happens. We'll go have a hunt and go get another roll of welding wire, and then we can finish this off. I've only just got this bit to do, and then clean up, and then obviously a few pinholes, and then I think what I'll do is I'll put that band back on. I might just Tech screw that back with the couple of Tech screws that I had in it, and I might actually run, I actually was thinking that it might crank up bring the plasma cutter and bring it over, actually just whip this out close, and then we'll just grind it up, and then obviously we'll start on the other side. But yeah, we're now to get another roll of wire. Right, it's just changed my welding wire over. Now I went put this off for a second. It's not so noisy. Give it a second. Right, so I've been running 0.9 for a long time. It's really too heavy for what I'm doing. But when you're sort of doing a little bit of normal welding as well, it becomes quite handy. But so instead of going 0.9, which is I think 3.5 or whatever it is, 0.035. I went down to 0.8, which is 0.30. Yeah, I probably should be running like 0.6 for doing panel steel all the time, but I'm not always doing panel steel, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of a compromise. So maybe I might get a slightly nicer weld when I'm doing welds. So yeah, I'm just going to try that. I'll have to change my settings a little bit, I think. I'll have to double check the settings and just alter that around a little bit, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, we'll just play with it, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah, I'll have to just alter the speed and the whatever, since I've dropped down a wire size. Alright, morning. So yesterday I kind of got that window opening sorted for the far side. So I'll show you what's going on. I thought I actually had it cut to the right size, and then I worked out that the window doesn't actually fit into that part of it, if you know what I mean. It fits deeper in. I'll turn the camera and I'll show you what it is, and then I'm actually I'm gonna leave this one alone in the meantime. We'll cut it out bigger later, and we'll have to do a little bit of hammering, dolling and whatever, and just finish some stuff off. And I've got a few holes to fill that are where I've put Tech screws in, but I'll show you what's going on. So I thought it just went into this piece, but it doesn't. I thought this here, it clamped it on here, but it doesn't. It clamps it in between here. So I've actually got to open up this hole about another, I don't know, maybe, so we'll say half an inch. It's probably not that far, but I just put it up there yesterday and drew around it as the best I could. But what I'm going to do is we'll have to measure around here. I might see if I can make a little scribe or something that we can just scribe a mark around here, or put some paint on there and then scribe around so we can see it, and then we'll cut that open a bit further. And I will need to fill probably that hole, and that hole, and everything else we should better just clean up and just do a final tidy up. We've actually got the window fully cut to fit, and fill that hole. Yeah, that one and that one. All these other ones will disappear when we actually obviously cut this away. But that's roughly right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push the van forward. I'm going to shift all my gear to the other side and have a wee sort. I was trying to use this yesterday and it was giving me issues. I'm not really sure why, but I haven't used it so freaking long because I actually sat, I don't think I videoed it. I sat the frame on. I might have briefly, I sat the frame in there and actually cut around the inside of it, thinking that's how it worked to come up to this. But then I was like, realised when I went to put it in, no, it comes out further, because I trimmed it all up and sort of cleaned it all up, and then realised, yeah, no, it won't fit still. So yeah, I've got to open it wider. It's not a biggie, it's just a pain in the ass. So you'll shift everything around, get everything sorted out, get this stuff laid out inside. Quickly whip out a piece there. Might actually see if I can get that plasma cutter working properly, and then I can just lay a bit of steel down there and just whoop, zzz, and cut that off, and then we can get that laid in the hole, get that filled, and we'll try and, or at least get it tapped in, and we might try and get might clean some of these up, and try and get this roof cleaned up, and we'll start getting some body filler around the back of it or something today and tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's a real fucking pain in the ass, and it's kind of my own fault, but it's just fucking way things are happening. It's just been getting down on top of me, and I've just been not coming here as much as I should be, and like just some of these other jobs not happening. It's just not happening my mental health at all. I get days where I freaking not gonna get there, and I end up doing a few other little jobs in between, and then I just fucking lose the day, and I just don't get motivated to do them fast enough, if you know what I mean. Like I'll muck around, have a coffee, frickin' sit down, watch a clip on YouTube or whatever, or suss through some shit, and then I'm like, realise it's fucking like an hour's gone, and then you fucking go do that little task, run around, do a message, and then it's 2 hours later, and then frickin' think, oh, I'll get down here in the afternoon, and just get held up with something else, just trivial shit, and then I just fucking just get fully unmotivated. It pisses me off. I know it's my own fucking doing, but you know what I mean? But, oh God, man, I'm just struggling lately. I really am. It's a pain in the ass. I need something financially to go my fucking way. I really do. It's fucking annoying. And I think that'll break, if I'm just not worried quite so much about the money sides of things, it'll help to break me out of my funk, if you know what I mean. If I know that I'm just financially secure for a while, or at least can work a plan out from there, if you know what I mean. Because I've just got so much shit looming over my head, it's driving me fucking insane. But anyway, But anyway, we'll get this shit sorted out and try and get the full panel in here. It really sucks because I end up with fucking hardly anything in there. By the time I actually trim that fully out to where it needs to be the other side, like when I trim that out another fucking half an inch all the way around, roughly, I would actually put fuck all in there. And it seems to be a real pain dick move to fucking like cut a whole panel out and weld it in. But it's kind of almost the cleanest, simplest way to do it. Because it's just easier to work on. And sort of once I get it tacked in, then I can rough cut it, and then obviously I can fully weld the majority of it, and then we can start trimming it out to fit the window. So like we end up like a full panel in here, and then trim it and whatever, and then instead of just trying to weld it fucking like little strips in, because that's sort of what you end up with. Obviously apart from where it comes into here, and then you get this big piece that'll got a bit of a void. But if you just put a whole panel in there, tack it in, and then you can just work out where you obviously don't need to weld in a couple of places. We don't really need to weld through here, obviously, and in here, but you can sort of weld up into it and then trim it back to fit. But yeah, it's frickin', it's kind of annoying, but it's kind of the simplest way to do it. Like you actually end up with a decent piece you can use for something anyway, like for the first rough cut. Like there's quite a bit of material in there you can make something else, so it doesn't really matter. You're not fully wasting it, but it just seems a pain in the ass to have to cut a fucking big piece off to full of void to do it. And then we're still going to make a little piece for the other bottom one. But yeah, we're getting there. Right, let's get this fucking thing out of the road. Alrighty. Sorry about the clicking in the background. There's sheep in this, whatever we want to call it, paddock field. So yeah, I can't turn it off. So the plan this morning is, I'll turn the camera on. So apparently he's got new ones of these. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll strip the inside panels off, pull this and this off. I'm going to fill this hole. Obviously we've still got some welding to do around that back window, and I want to finish stripping the rest of this roof so I can knock a couple last dents out and then lay some filler. And obviously we'll do the same on the other side as well. Let's get that off. Yeah, and then I'll probably have to, still got to fix this as well, but we'll worry about these holes when we do that. I'm not too worried about this. I think we'll start on that side. This obviously needs cut down. We need to trim this up as well a bit further. I'm just trying to stop that sun from shining in, but I want the sun in here. It warms it up a bit. So yeah, we'll deal with this side, but yeah, I would like to get at least those door handle bits off, and then I think what I'll do is I might tear into the roof for a wee while. Might move the van back a little bit, tear into the roof for a wee while, get that last of that cleaned up, and try and get at least some body filler on the roof so I can start knocking it back in between, so I can just take a break from, well, I haven't got too much more welding to do here, a little bit, and clean up. We've still got a few pinholes to fill here, but we've got the majority of it filled too, about here somewhere. Now we've got a few spots to clean up a bit further. And we've got that to finish off. Yeah, and then we just got a few holes to weld up. What I might do is, once I get this stuff off, I'll just make sure to see whether he's actually got the same sort of mirror. Just double check that. And yeah, and I'll just touch base with him just in case I need to fill the bolt holes. If he's got a slightly different mirror and they go on differently, but I'll just double check that, or whether he's using those bases and putting the factory style mirrors back in it, if you know what I mean. I just need to double check that. But yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll just move this back. I'll disconnect the welder for a wee while, just have a wee sort out here, move this back. I might strip the rest of the roof, and then I might even start filling the back. We'll get a bit of warmth in it in the sun. Obviously we're going to have to DA and just do a final clean up there, but yeah, I think I might just start doing some filler work in the back and start stripping the front. Just get that rest of that stripped off. Like, it's all repaired now, so it just needs stripped off. Yeah, and then we can come back to doing this. I want to try and get this, I'd like to get this in primer by the weekend, if I can. We've got a few dents and whatever to fix, down the sides and stuff, and a few on the bonnet. I think I can get that done, but if I can get the majority of the roof done, the rest of it's actually not too bad. Like, I need to cut this obviously out and whatever, but we can trim it close. It doesn't need to be dead close until we're ready to paint, if you know what I mean. We can get it rough size, and then we can do when we're getting close to getting ready for paint, we can actually trim it 100%, those back windows anyway. The rest of it doesn't matter quite so much. Or just repair shit. Like, get that hole filled up on the side and get that other shit ground off and fill them properly. But yeah, and that little strip on the bottom of the other window. Alright, so we got a bit of filler on the side of the roof. I just filled those couple other bits and pieces that were on the holes that were on the roof. I actually found another couple up there that I just quickly zapped up. It had a couple of holes in there. So I did that quickly off camera. And we cleaned this area, wiped down with a bit of prick wipe. Now I've just skimmed it with filler. Now, I've heard it a fucking 1,000 times. You should put, body filler direct to matter. You should put frickin' etch between it. You should put epoxy between it. Fuck, which way do you do it? I've heard it 1,000 times. Do it this way, do it that way, do it that way. It's direct to metal. body filler. So I thought, fuck it. Otherwise it's a lot of work for me to, you know, to spray this all with etch. So we'll just put it direct to metal. Now I've still got to clean up that side anyway and wipe down all the rest of it, whatever. But we prick this corner, so we'll at least get some filler on that. We can start knocking that down, and we'll just let this go off a wee bit, and we'll start knocking it down. But yeah, I'll probably go around the other side, or I might go back down to here and start welding, and whatever. But yeah, might even just do a wee bit more stitch welding just down there, just play around with it a little bit, or might even pull a couple of door handles off the other side or something. Let this cure off for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, and then just start knocking it down. I was actually looking from a short board file. That's going to be really handy just running along the roof, just to make sure it is reasonably level. But I'm just trying to find my shorter one, my proper one. That's one I've had made up for years for doing like big panels like this. I'll have to have another poke round. I don't know whether it's warped or I've just set it somewhere weird. I'll have to have a bit more of a poke. I was trying to find it before to throw a clean sheet of that 80 net just to knock this down. I'll use the DA and whatever, but we'll use the short board for a start off, and then I can use that, you know, just along the edges, along the tops and whatever. Just that'll give me a fairly good indication whether it's reasonably level. Oh no, there it is there. That's right in front of me. It's on the side of the van. Must have been sitting up there for a couple of days, wandering around looking for it. So yeah, got that there, so we can just knock that back when we're ready to go. And yeah, and then once we've sort of get this prepped and just bang those couple of dents out. All I've done around for these ones here, because it's got that hood lining in there, it's a bit awkward. So I've just found all the high spots and just knocked them down until it's sort of flattened itself off. And I've just tried to get in there the best I can, because I have pulled the lining down at the back to sort of get in there and bang the worst of them out. But kind of is what it is. You know, we've got the majority of it out, and these ones aren't too bad. When I started knocking down the high spots where it sort of creased, they sort of popped back into position a little bit, and then we'll just fill it. Otherwise, I'm just going to spend an ass frickin' trying to make this roof perfect for when nobody's really going to see it. As long as this area, you know, as long as that sort of crown and up into that roof looks decent, you know, I'm not too panicked. As long as it looks pretty good, if you know what I mean. By the time we get, you know, we're gonna spread some fucking mud down here, like a lot. You know, I've got another can there. I might even have to get another one by the time I fucking finish the body. I might actually order another one, just in case I need it. But I've got another brand new can sitting there beside the vise, and that one there was sort of, it was about third down. Now I've just spread frickin'. You can see sort of where it was sitting. So yeah, I've just pulled another big chunk out of it. So yeah, we'll just give this a few couple minutes. We'll muck around with those other door handles on the other side, and we'll drag that over here, and we'll just knock it down quickly, get a bit of a feel for where we're at, and we just might reapply or whatever. And yeah, we'll just keep cleaning up down here. We'll just go back over it, because I've DA'd it with once I scotch brighted the worst of this shit off. Run over with the DA with 60 grit on it, and give it a real good rough up. And then we just give it a couple of good wipes down with some prep wipe, just to make sure there's no grease from the hands and whatever on it before I put the body filler on. So yeah, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I put each underneath that piece over there. I might just rip it hard back, and because I've still got to sand that and that piece over there. I put fiberglass filler in. We'll knock those back too with a bit of 60 grit. So I'll give them all a good rip back, and then we'll just lay filler over top where it needs to be. I'm not too worried about these centre couple ribs, except for where there's a couple of slightly bigger dents. I'll just level them out reasonable. But the rest of it is kind of is what it is, you know. It's been fucking walked over, so what do you do with it, you know? You either spend fucking hundreds of hours trying to make it perfect for a vehicle that somebody doesn't want to spend that kind of money on. So you just get to knock the worst of it out. It was fucking rough. There was a lot of dents in it. There's still a couple of them there to just massage, get back into rough shape, and then yeah, the bad ones in the middle, like on these, especially on the high ribs, we'll just put a little bit of filler and just knock it down, whatever. Make sure it's feathered out reasonable, so it looks half decent, and the rest of it is what it is in the centre, like these from here to the other side. It is what it is, roughly. We'll just blend it out, do the best we can, and it'll just get 4 or 5 coats of primer over it, and we'll just sand it flat. And yeah, as long as the sides look good, and what I mean good, it'll be reasonably decent. Especially this edge will be good, really good. But up into here, you know, we'll better get away with a little bit more. But I'm not spending fucking hundreds of hours trying to block out a fucking roof. It just doesn't warrant it, if you know what I mean. If it was going to be a show car, well, yeah, you would. But you know, you're going from, I don't know, 10 grand to 50 minimum. You know what I mean? You know, you wouldn't be putting the freaking 4 banger in it. So you know, you probably, you know, by the time you, I don't know, say put an LS in it and freaking decent diff and brakes and freaking custom bodywork and whatever, you know, you're gonna be $100,000. So yeah, we're not going there. It's a tidy up. Alrighty, well, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a bit of a prick to get off. That nut on the bottom of that will be easy enough. I need to find some bolts to put in there. There's one bolt, one nut there, and then there's another nut in behind all that crap. But this one here, I'm going to have to fucking try and put my hand up in here and see if I can unscrew these off somehow. Don't think I'll get a, I might get a ratchet in there. Frick, what a pain in the ass, you know. Why not just have an access hole through here or something? And I see somebody else has tapped. What have they done here? It's like they've cut, I don't know if they've cut access into here or they just made a little panel up to fill that hole, or what the fuck they've done there. It's weird. To be honest, I hadn't looked at that properly. It's probably, I don't know if it's off an earlier model or a later model, or whether it's the, it must be the original door, but it's probably had a panel or something on there and they just fucking butcher tacked something on there. It's not too bad for straight, it's not perfect, but yeah, I really want to get those freaking handles off. Alrighty, so we're starting to get this piece sorted. I'm actually going to put some filler on the bonnet hood after lunch as well, and then I'll come in here and I'll quickly knock this down, and then I'll probably tear that off and then knock this down, one of the two. I don't really want to leave it until after lunch, but I might just stay an extra couple of minutes and just knock the tops off it. I'll try to spread it out reasonably even, so should be good. We're just trying to give it a thinnish coat, and we'll knock the worst of it down. Like you can see, it's pretty rough, the roof. Like we've knocked a lot of dents out, like I said, but you know, you can only, you know, how far do you go? Right, so I just set up a plank. Just put a clamp on it on the ladder, and it just runs across here. I just move these pallets back. It just drops me down a couple of inches, which is way better to sand. It's not quite so hunched over. Like it drops me down probably, I don't know, 4 inches or a bit more, maybe. Probably not quite that. That would be 6 inches deep. The ruler's up frickin' there. Doesn't matter. But that would be at least 6. That's a 4x2. Yeah, it's close to 6. So it's probably dropped me down 4.5 inches, which is quite a difference. I'd actually like to chop this down even an extra 6 inches or something and drop this down at some point, make it a bit smaller, a little bit shorter. Actually, I wouldn't even mind making it a bit narrower. It's a bit wide. We built it for doing that body, but it was a bit big, a bit tall. It really needs to be a bit lower. But yeah, it's actually good for this. It'd do be a little bit lower, but I'm just going to throw the phone up on the tripod, and I'm just going to dust the roof with a bit of etch on the body filler, and just let that go off for a minute or two, and then I'm just going to run the big long block over it again. Like I can see where I need body filler anyway, but I just want to get a rough idea of how far I can feather it out with just putting another light skim in places without doing the whole roof. And then I would like to just DA this back corner and start, once we've sort of got it knocked down, and then just mud sort of back around that corner a little bit, and then just re-mud up to the front. I don't want to try and put too much on, if you know what I mean. I would just like to try and see if we can skim it out and get it reasonable, and then get it blocked down, and then yeah, hopefully we don't have to come back with too much more, if you know what I mean. There's a couple bad hollow spots, but I think by the time we get along with that big block, a couple of times, you know, with a couple of fills, or a decent fill, and then maybe another smaller one afterwards, I think we won't be too far, and hopefully then, like I said, we'll just fucking pour some primer on the roof. I got some grey and I got some black, so I'd like to do a couple of coats of grey, a couple of coats of black, a couple of coats of grey again, probably on the roof, and any other bad spots on the sides. I think the rest will get away with 2 or 3 coats, maybe 4 coats, just to give it some depth to block back through and try and get it decent flat. And the main reason I want to try the colours, because that might just give me a bit of guide of where I'm going when I'm going through the layers of primer, just so I know when I'm getting close to coming back through the steel primer, you know what I mean, or back to the underlayer, whatever's on it. So yeah, that's kind of just my guide. Then I know if I do a couple of loads of grey, a couple of loads of black, and then maybe 1 or 2 of grey over top, or I might just do the black on the sides, grey than black. Or if I get through the black, and it's starting to look pretty flat, or whatever, you know what I mean. We might even just do 1 and then 1 and then 1 and then 1. We'll just see how we get on. But we're gonna have to do the roof, on one stage, and then we'll do the rest of it in another, and we'll probably have to do some shitting around the corners and inside in a few places, like where we've done repairs. We'll have to flick something in there anyway, at least. I've got some of that black epoxy that I can flick on the insides anyway, like give it a decent clamp and flick it in. I'm not sure what they're doing on the insides with everything else. We might just give it a really good fucking scuff up and then spray some of that texture coat in there or something like that, just to give it a bit more sound deadening, sort of tight feel or whatever. I don't know. He'll work it out what he wants to do. But yeah, that's kind of a plan. So I'll jump up there and we'll get into it. Righty, so I've just knocked all the body filler down that I put on there before. I can't remember where I was up to with the last video. I think I just had spread it out on there. So I spent a bit of time knocking it down. I put a new bit of stuff on here. I probably just had it a wee bit green, but it wasn't too bad. So yeah, I've just gave it a quick coat of etch. I know I can see, like, you can see the bad marks, but I just want to run out again with the long block and that shorter long block. Just give it a really good rub back until the bulk of the etch disappears, just so I can see where to level out anything that needs leveled, apart from the obvious shit where I just haven't got enough in there, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So, like, there's not going to be that much on the roof. There's a decent skim on here in places, but it's not that bad. Like, I don't know, there might be a little bit more than a 1/16 in places, but the majority of it's pretty thin. Like, I'm through to steel, you know, like in a few spots here and there. You know, like a bit of a high spot there, high spot, like, there's a bit of a wow on there. But, you know, what do? You know, when somebody's fucking walked with the roof, it was all smashed in at the back, and we've done repairs, and like, they'd walked all over the fucking thing. Like, it's not too bad down through the centre in places, but you know, it is what it is. You bang it out the best you can, and then just smear it in mud. You know, we've got to do a bad spot here where we've done that repair. You know, we'll have to skim it through there decently. Is that where we've done the repair? Oh yeah, and through a bit there, we'll just skim it through there the best we can. You know, and just level it off reasonable. I'm not going to worry about these ribs really, except for where we've repaired. Anything else, unless there's a bad dent in them somewhere, I'll check them as I go. Once we've sort of got the sides sorted, you know, all around the sides, and we've cleaned all that up, and around the other side, like, it is ready to go within reason. I've just got to DO out over those couple of over the big repair spots where I put the glass on. Just one over them with a new disc. Oh, we're actually going to run over the whole thing anyway with a new disc, 60 grit. When I get ready to put primer down there, body filler down there, sorry, not primer. Yeah, and then we'll just slather that as well. So I reckon by the time I finish the side and probably get halfway across there, I would have used that tin, and it was probably down to there. So I probably used, I don't know, 2/3 of a tin on this side of the roof. Yeah, and a lot of it's blown out the door. Now, there's a bit on there, but like, yeah, a lot of it's blown out the door. I don't know, there's probably 50% on there or something like that, you know what I mean, of what I've put on. So it is what it is. There's nothing you can fucking do about it with a badly dented roof. You know, I'm not just spending 300 hours fucking straightening the roof. You know, bash it out the best you can. We've done the repairs. You know, we've done the best to get decent shape back in it, and you know, knock it around fairly well in places. You know, it was real bad. Like, we spent quite a bit of time on it to get that back into pretty good shape. It's still lumpy, but it's back into pretty good shape. It was all caved down. Like, you know, this was all collapsed in the centre. You know, some big dents around the front and whatever. You know, we've banged them up the best we can. Like, if inside the hood lining, like, I'm repeating myself, I know that, but you know, sometimes you just got to explain to people, you know, fuck, what do you do? So I spent, you know, $3,000 on the roof, and it's probably close to that anyway. You know, but yeah, you know, like, if I spent just every hour just trying to nitpick it and get it perfect, and you know, metal finish everything and whatever, you know, you could be freaking with a roof that was this bad. You know, you could be, I don't know, the better part of $7 or $8 grand. You know, I've heard of people, spend 20 grand. Well, actually, I know some guys, they rebuilt a floor in I think it was a 54 or 55 Cadillac convertible, not far from me. They spent $20,000 rebuilding that floor because they couldn't get any. I don't think anybody made floors for them, and they couldn't get one, or whatever. Like, they couldn't find a decent one anywhere in New Zealand, so they spent 20 grand making all the pieces. They fucking replaced, you know, I don't know, would say 70 to 80% of the floor front to back, like right into the boot and everything, and up the firewall, and made all the braces and all the structure, like up into the pillars and guards and all that sort of shit. They did all that as well, but they spent $20,000 on just the metalwork, and finishing and cleaning it up. So fuck, it can run away fast. People just don't understand the time it takes working on classic cars. It's not like a modern car where the panels are already available. In some instances they are, like Mustangs and a lot of things like that. There's a lot of Mustangs and bits and pieces that the panels are already available if you're in the right part of the world. But in some parts of the world, they're just not available. You know what I mean? Like you can spend 20 grand trying to get the fucking parts here, before fitting them. That's the difference, with being here in New Zealand to being in the US or even on Aussie, because we're only a population of 5 million, and we've got a massive amount of fucking classic cars here for per population, but we just don't have the volume coming in here. Sometimes they'll strike a good deal where they might, somebody within New Zealand that might be part of a chain in Australia, they might be able to bring a whole pile of stuff over in one container, bring it here, offload their half, and then it carries on to Australia, and they might get a slightly better deal. But, they've got 25 million, 30 million in Australia, where we've got 5, So by the time it gets here, the panel's worth 3 times as much as worth in America, if you know what I mean. So it kills anything that's worth anything, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so sometimes it's simpler to remake it, unless it's a really common panel coming into the country, like probably doors and front guards and bonnets and stuff like I said, Mustangs, probably Barracudas and Challengers and a few bits and pieces like there's probably a bit of regular shipment of that sort of stuff coming in. But the more obscure stuff, it just doesn't come into the country unless you're lucky enough to buy a vehicle from the US and you know all what it needs and you get a fucking pile of parts with it. You get a container, that'll hold, say, 4 cars in it, and you put 3 cars in it, and you just put a fucking pile of panels and stuff for those 3 cars and engines and fucking parts and a lot of excess stuff that you can sell off to make some money to put back into what you've spent on those cars. That's about the only way you can do it cheaply here, if you know what I mean. And I mean within reason. Like you see lots of Dan from DD Speed Shop and a few of those other guys, they'll pay say the outside 5 grand for a rough like 55, 56, 57 Chev, unless it's something a little bit more obscure, like a 2-door, like a pillarless 2-door or a convertible or a Nomad or something like that. But the average, probably post 2-door or decent 4-door or something like that, that's a rough one, that's a rebuilder, that's not a fucking too far gone, they'll pay, I don't know, say 5 grand for it. Well, we'll pay 15 grand for it, or 20 grand for it. And then we're going to rebuild the fucking and Dan's got the fucking thing on the road for 10, maybe 13 or 14 grand, he's got it back on the road, but he hasn't got his time into it, but you know what I mean, like parts and panels and fucking floors and back guards and quarters and whatever, and turn it into a 2-door, even from a 4-door. You probably got 13 or 14 grand Canadian. Well, fuck. By the time we get it here, like we're 15 to 20 grand without fucking putting any parts on the fucking thing. Like I know there's a difference in money too, but that's probably, I don't know, say 10, 11 grand US. By the time you convert that to your money, you're looking closer to 20 grand. Sort of thing. So by the time you put, if you bought in a heap of panels as well, say like a floor and a, which seems to be pretty common, maybe a new set of front guards or some repair panels and maybe some rear quarters and, maybe a boot lid or a bonnet or a trunk or whatever the fuck you want to call them, what I mean? Bonnet or hood or whatever, and a few other bits and pieces, headlight bezels and fucking, bit out of the new shit. And by the time you did that, fuck, you know, we're fucking 40 grand, you know, without painting the fucking thing, you know. Whereas he'd be driving it down the road doing burnouts at fucking 25 painted, you know. If he was doing it himself, if you know what I mean. Maybe a bit less than that. Like if you wanted a half decent paint job and you want to pay somebody to do it, even a cheaper paint job, it's still going to be, you know, if you're putting all new panels on it, you didn't have to do a whole lot of body work. You know, you might be 20, 25, you know, Canadian. We would be in excess of 50, you know, 60, 70 grand, depending on what it is, you know. And by the time you put a motor in it and buy a motor and fucking whatever else, you know, I'll buy an LS in you know, America or Canada for, I don't know, say $500 to $1,000 for a runner out of something, you know what I mean? Well, fuck, you know, we're the, you know, $6,000 or $7,000. You know? And the biggest problem is like we can only get them out of Commodores or maybe a Camaro or something like that, or somebody that's bought a fucking container of motors in. You know, that's the only places we can get them from. Like they're not in, you know, every fucking second car that was been driving around since 2000. You know what I mean? Every second Chev that had a V8 in it. You know what I mean? We don't have that luxury. So, but anyway, I'll carry on.